Hello and welcome. I'm just setting up and sending some notifications, and we'll get started soon. This, I guess, would be considered part 2, because last night I played the beginning part, and it was kind of sad. It was kind of sad. That's okay. We're going to hopefully make things better in this story. I hope. Maybe. We'll see. Let me see, make sure I sent everything correctly. I did. I'm like yelling. I did. Close that. Go over here. Hello, Just for Jay. Hello, foul sick fool. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say the last part so pronounced. But hello. Hello, foul sick. Welcome. I'm streaming more of the small Saga game. I might get some water, though. Oh, I have some water. I'm going to take a drink of water before I start, too. I'm going to make sure all my things are set up right. I think so. I noticed last stream, though, the music was way... what is that? I'm hearing an echo myself. Thank you, Nigel Hot Dog. Thank you for the $5. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Nigel, I think you might have given me $5 last night, too. But I didn't thank you for it because I wasn't notified about it. So thank you for that. It was very kind of you. Thank you. Let me make sure the audio is all turned down for both of the feeds, because I hear an echo. Yeah, there's one there just slightly on. Okay, hopefully this stream is way more better quality than the last one. Are we ready to begin? I'll just assume everyone says yes, okay? I'll drink my water first, though. Ah, delicious. I don't know if you can hear me drinking the water. All right. Let's remember the controls. Controls, where are you? There you are. Okay, we left off. We fought the tiger, the cat, and although it did escape, we did succeed at least. I'm not sure why we're starting here. Oh, because I saved. So we came back out. So I think the goal is to go back to town, basically, and probably talk to the people and explain that we are doing good things, and the old ways, we're still within, hopefully, the limits of the old ways, or we'll work something out, hopefully. We'll see. Descend to Campbell. No, Cramble. Sorry. Cramble. Let's go. I should really make like a word list and have it in like a text document so I correctly pronounce everything when I say it. I'm going to think... Wait. I don't even know where we're supposed to go, actually. Let's go see the authority here and see if they get mad or not. Because we did something we're probably not supposed to. Gilda says, "Why are you still here?" Vagabond, I thought I made myself clear. Siobhan says, "Mummy, you'll never guess what." Oh, that's right. Thank you, Small. Jeez, if you didn't come here, I probably would have left that on the whole time. Y'all can talk now. Thank you, Small. I thought I remembered most things, too. Like, I tried to adjust the settings and do the Twitter announcements and stuff. Oh, my goodness. Siobhan says, "Sir Verm and I fought off Tiger. We actually did it." Neiman says, You slayed the Felidae? Siobhan says, "Well, we didn't quite slay it, but we certainly sent him running. That mangy monster will be licking its wounds, his wounds for seasons." And Morvin says, "My word, Siobhan, I knew you were not dainty lady, but this is something else." Glinda has no words. Wait, Glida. Yeah. Siobhan says, "Don't you have anything to say, Mommy?" "I do, but disappoint me." "You disappoint me, Siobhan. That's so mean." "I disappoint you. I've freed us from Tiger's tyranny." Gilda. You're a short-sighted fool of a daughter. What will happen if the gods see us as a threat? Actually, I know the answer to that, Gilda. I read the book. I read the classics, The Old Way. I know the word. I read the book, so I know. Gilda says, blades and poisoned, fire and water. They would rain hell on us, and it would be the end of Crandale. Siobhan says, Mommy. Gilda says, get out. Get out. Fine. Come on, Verm. We'll see you. I'll see you to the entrance. No, Siobhan. Leave. Siobhan says, leave. Hello, Pop. GU. Hello, welcome back. You want to be a warrior so much like your father was? You want to tinker with god tools and fight titans? Well, fine. You've got your wish. I'm exiling you from Crandale Village. Mommy! Go on, leave. Don't come back. Aww. It's okay. This has to happen sometimes. Change is sometimes good. Verm, wasn't it? You've caused enough damage here, I think. Verm says, whatever. Whatever. Oh, wait. I don't want to leave you. I want to read the thing. Oh, whoa. Let's wait a second here. Look at this picture in the background. This is a story. Let me see if I can translate this here. 3 something. There might be mice. And 3 something. What has the thing on their back that's green? Turtles? That wasn't part of the original agreement, was it? Wait. That's represent different. Okay. The big brown ones are the sword. I think those are rats. Those are mice. I'm not sure what the green are. That could be hedgehogs, possibly. So 3 mice came to, or unless those are enemies. I think the greens is moles, and they put something to fire. Then they fought the rats. The moles and the mice fought the rats. And then the mole, the mice, the rats, the squirrels. What is this? They made peace. They were fighting. Then they fought with the rats. Then they realized they should have peace. I forget what's the other. I should go back and read the book. Verm says, I come here because I heard Crandale was the gathering place of the smartest minds of Rodentia. But all I found here are stubborn idiots. Do you want to follow the old way, or do you want to survive? I think they can do both, honestly. The old way is survival. The old way is dead. Siobhan gets that. Why can't you? Get out. I'm gonna go back to read the book. How many people are there? There's 40 people there. No, there's 1, 2, 3, there's 5. Was I too harsh on Siobhan, Lord Master? A harsh lesson is something needed, my lady. But perhaps, if it would ease my lady's worries, I could send a butterfly? What? A butterfly? To the king! A formal request to overwatch the girl. Would she return? Would she enter Merida? Very well. I'm gonna go back and read that book because there's a mention of the multiple species that made like a agreement, I believe. Oh, hello, you know me. I read all your books. They're all great. Well, you didn't write them personally, I don't think. The Old Ways. Yeah, this is an awesome book. That's my favorite book, but that doesn't tell me about the... Oh, what is this one about? Let's see. Oh, here it is. Following the massacre on the Eastern Mire, Emperor Marcus wrote the Pact of Five. Yeah, there's 5 people on the wall. This legal document granted Rodentian Citizenship to 5 key species: rats, moles, mice, shrews, and squirrels. So I missed the shrew part. So those are the 5, yeah, the 5 species. Carnivoruses were explicitly excluded, even now long after the fall of the Shrew Empire. Whoa! Susie Q.
Susie just gifted 1 subs.
Thank you, Susie Q, for gifting a subscription to Mr. Ziggbee. Thank you so much, Susie Q. That's very sweet of you. Being a Big Bean community supporter. I'm pretty sure you're also like a tier 3 sub as well. That's the highest. I think you're the only one that's tier 3, so thank you for that too. Even now, long after the fall of the Shrew Empire and the rise of the Rat Monarchy, the pact is held as sacrosanct. I can't read that word. Forming the basis of modern Rodentian law. So, the fall of the Shrew Empire and rise of the Rat Monarchy. These are not shrews, these are moles, right? They don't say mole. Oh, yeah, they have moles. So let's see here. There's the rats, the moles are where I am, the mice, I'm part of that group, and the shrews fell down. We haven't know anything about the squirrels yet. Okay. Oops, I didn't want to push that. Oops. We're learning. We're learning all the secrets. Dun, 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 dun. I think we should go outside and go. I think I know where they want me to go. They probably want me to go to that pipe that we saw last night. Let's go. So the moles are kind of. Is she crying? Oh, there you are. What am I supposed to do now? Verm, anything you want. Siobhan, can I come with you? Vern says, anything but that. I've got a job to do. Siobhan, they say that 2 people shorten the road. Vern, don't follow me. I bet he doesn't want anyone to come with him because he's afraid that if they come with him, they might also get hurt, basically. So he's trying to protect her, I think. Vern says, I said don't follow me. You're a liability. Siobhan says, was I liability against Tiger? I won't say yeah. That's kind of mean. Siobhan was huge, was instrumental in defeating Tiger. I wouldn't even choose that one either, but this character is being stubborn, so I'll have to choose you were okay. Verm says, you were okay, just okay. Siobhan says, but you're going to Merida, right? I can help you get there. Verm says, I don't need it. Chaperone. I think we do. She knows what's up. She knows where to go. She knows these parts. Siobhan says, Sir Verm, I know I'm not the greatest fighter, and I don't know what this yellow god is you're after. You know what? Actually, I figured it out. I'm kind of dense sometimes and not very fast at figuring things out. And for a while, when I first started this game, I thought the yellow god was just another cat, basically, a yellow-looking cat, right? But they also call humans gods. That was a mistake on my part. It's probably obvious to some of you that might be watching, but I believe the yellow god is the human in the entire outfit, the exterminator. Yeah, the exterminator. Yeah, thank you, Small. I didn't realize it till today. Do you know that? I'm not even joking. Because the exterminator will typically wear an outfit to protect them from poison or gas and stuff, and that's sometimes yellow, for example. So that would be the yellow god, essentially. Interesting stuff. Siobhan says, but I want to learn. And I want to help. What does it say, Small? My brain cell is big today. That's the way to go, Small. That's the way to go. Siobhan says, what do you say? I say fine. I want your magic. This is Ziggbee talking, not Vern. I want a magic caster in my group. Vern says, well, go to Merida together. After that, who knows? Siobhan says, thank you, Sir Vern. I won't let you down. Let's go. Oh, interesting. There's that symbol there. Last someone mentioned that was a Celtic symbol. I'm not sure what that represents, but interesting. Also, I was misreading what I think Sandman and you were saying, Small. You were saying they were Irish. What was it? Did you say Irish? Because the way they speak and stuff, or their stuff or whatever. I was reading that way wrong. Should I go up or down? Yes, Irish. Is that Celtic as well? That's Irish. I think it is Celtic. I'm thinking of those a long time ago on TV. They should do like there was some women I think that were dancing, and they would just keep their upper body still and like be dancing with just their feet or something. I'm not sure if that's related to Irish at all. Correct? Okay. I got it correct. Oh, you know what these things are? You know, this is interesting. See this platform right here? These bumped tiles. I might be wrong, but I didn't understand what they were for. But I think it's for the people that are blind. Yeah, yeah. So they can feel. So they have a I don't know what you call it officially, like this pole thing that they can feel the sidewalk, so they know that they're coming at an intersection. I found that very fascinating. I didn't know what they were for. I thought they were possibly for non-slip or something, but but no. They have multiple purposes. What is this stuff? Does that say Tai Chi? Tai Chi? And this is cat food. It says Dulboruf Road. Wait. Dulboruf Road. I don't know what N1 stands for. Number 1? Little basket. I'm invested in exploring this world. I'm very invested in exploring this world. Trash can. Okay. Wait, do I just go up here? Wait. I see an arrow. I see an arrow up there on the fence. Am I supposed to go on the fence? Wait. Oh, I need to climb up. A dull burrow. Thank you, Small. Darble. Oh, the arrows help me. They tell me to go here. That's nice. It's doing it automatically. Wait, what if I go back here though? Is there any prizes or anything? Secrets? Yeah, score. Because that's something they would sneakily do sometimes. You found 5 seeds. Score. I'll take all the seeds I can find. Tammy beans. I came to traumatize myself. Tammy beans, don't traumatize yourself. It'll be okay. I promise. Just keep in mind it's just fictional. They're okay. It's not real. Wait, where am I supposed to go now? Wait. It says go up here. Or it says I just can go up here. I'm confused. What about Siobhan? What does it say? Oh, recycle. or if you read it like I would probably read it at first. Recycle. No, it's recycle. The first thing is a symbol over the recycle. Small boy, you came to the right place. Wait, is this basket for transportation? Or is it just to find cool things? What's this? Siobhan says. Just garbage, Verm says. Come on, we've got a lot of walking to do. What's that? Huh? Is it friend or foe? Is there someone out there? I'm gonna say yeah, because they might be a part of the citizenship of the rodent. I forgot the rest of the word. Rodentin? Yeah, Vern says. Ah, cool. Mind helping me out? I'm a bit stuck. Okay. This will be a fun little thing we're gonna do right now. Well, it's fun for me. I don't know. Hopefully it's fun for you. Let's do a quick poll. It's a minute long. New poll. Give me 1 sec. Gosh, I hope it's okay. You don't mind me typing for a little while. Do this. Where'd it go? I lost my window. There. Okay. 1 minute poll. Start. Hopefully I spelled this out correctly. Let's see the poll. View the results. Oh wait, did I push some buttons and it went forward and someone saw the answer? Hopefully no one saw the answer. Come on, make your guesses. Who do you think is in the trash can? What species is in the trash can, do you think? First guess, shrew. Another guess came in, squirrel. I'm leaning towards squirrel myself, because squirrels like to get in trash cans and try to find snacks and foods and stuff. More than halfway through this poll. Can I see who voted for what? Let's see, end poll. I wonder after the poll, I didn't check that last time, if I can see the individuals that actually voted for the different things. Come on, only 2 of you want to participate in this amazing poll? It's almost over, a few seconds left. 50-50, it's going to be a shrew or a squirrel, and I'm confident it's going to be probably a squirrel. Okay. Breakdown. If I click this to show who voted for it? Is it supposed to be anonymous? I guess it's supposed to be anonymous. Okay. Does it say in here? No. I'm trying to use Twitch features. I think it's cool. Okay. Vote for myself. I voted for myself. I said squirrel. Oh, I see. Okay. That means Tammy voted for shrew, right? Siobhan says, Sir Verm, we have to help them. Vern says, we're never going to make it to Merida if we get sidetracked by every idiot in distress. Gosh, Verm is very aggressive. Well, you're a shrew, Tammy Beans? Is that what your persona is? I did not know that, actually. Is that your persona, Tammy Beans? Verm is so sassy. He is me. No, he's not. I don't think he's sassy. I think he's like kind of like edgy, like Shadow the Hedgehog or something. You know, like the... No, we can't. He's like cold. Kind of like cold feeling. Or it's the same thing as sassy a little bit. He has trauma. Yes, he does. He definitely has trauma. Rose Winsome. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Winsome just resubscribed for 13 months.
13 months? That is super lucky number. I love the number 13. I've always seen it, and it always gives me comfort when I see it. Sometimes when like I had to fly, I'll see the number, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll be safe. Everything's fine. Or I'll see it occasionally, and it gives me comfort. Small says, I also have trauma. Oh, I'm sorry, Small. It's hard to go through life without getting some trauma, unfortunately. It's part of the experience. But yeah. Hopefully, we can learn to go through our trauma, though. We'll do it together. We'll help each other through the trauma, hopefully. The person, or this person, the entity in the trash can says, Oi! Now, I want to change my guess. Could it be a kangaroo? Just kidding. It's a really bad joke. Small says, the trauma gives me sassy personality. And there you go. See, trauma builds character. That's a positive spin, right? Oi! You're headed to Merida? I could fly you there. Up. Sorry, everybody. The option wasn't there. Birds. Birds. It might be a bird. What kind of bird? Siobhan says, of course! That's a carrier basket out there. Wait a second. Remember there's a story? A flying squirrel. That could be that. That's a good one, Tammy Beans. I just remembered there's another story in the library. It was about, was it a raven and a scorpion? Or a crow? I think it was a raven. Was it a raven or a crow? Does anyone remember? So, yeah. It's interesting they had a story about that. But, yeah. But they weren't, yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll learn more as we play. Siobhan says, so this person must be a majestic carrier raven. That's a little... Are ravens usually carrier birds, though? Isn't it usually like pigeons or something? It'd be like an exotic bird to have carrier messages. But they're really smart, though, right? Siobhan says, Sir Vern, this is a golden opportunity. A free ticket to Merida. A direct flight would save a lot of time. Weeks, even. All right, sit tight, bird. Cool beans. Did that bird just say cool beans? Oh, I'm just kidding. It's kind of funny that it said that. Tammy Bean says you could you could fling it too. Wait, what? I wasn't here for the stories. Small, you're supposed to rewatch the video, though I don't recommend you watching the video because the audio for the music was way too loud, and I keep like going beyond peaking the microphone. It sounded terrible. Hopefully it doesn't sound as bad right now. I would love to talk like parrots. Wait, what? Rose Winsome says, ravens can talk like parrots. Oh, that's right. They make fake sounds, can't they? And they can trick you and scare you sometimes. I kind of want a raven friend. I don't think where I exist and live, I don't think there's ravens close by. Or some people they try to train ravens to give you little trinkets. You give them treats and then they bring back trinkets for you, which is cool. I can watch VODs because there's no interaction and it gets distracted. No worries, that's fair. That is fair. It is fun to watch things live. The question mark raven in the trash can says, cool beans. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going nowhere. Wait, what? Oh, right, because you're stuck inside the trash can or recycling trash can. How am I going to open it though? Verm says, this lid looks pretty heavy. Will I be able to lift it? Guess I won't know until I try. Siobhan says, I need to show Sir Verm that I'm not a liability. There must be some way I can help. You can work together. This Philaday looks a bit like Tiger. Sir Verm's busy up there, so I should look around down here. Oh no, they're not gonna let me go up there. I would assume that Siobhan was gonna help me lift up the lid. So I'm supposed to play as her and do what exactly? Okay, this is a little confusing. They don't want me to climb, but they want me to help. So I'm supposed to be looking for trouble. I'm assuming I'm going to find trouble then. Could this come in use? Probably not. Okay, she says she doesn't want to be a liability, and I'm literally walking her off into danger. Is this what they want me to do? The game? What is this? I knew it. There's all kinds of grand things in here. There's pointy sticks. A rubbery cube. Verm. Brute strength didn't work. Maybe I can stab this darn lid open. Siobhan says, Sir Vern, I found something. Oh, good. She is safe. Thank goodness. Junk? No, not just any old junk. Give me a second. We hear sounds of tools. Now raids. Thank you for the raid. Lex Bean the Otter for the raid of 2. Thank you for that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Rose Winsome says, I just got here. Is this game in British Isles? I think it is in the UK. I'm not exactly sure where though. We started out in the sewers, but it's somewhere in the UK. At least that's where I think. The blurb from the Steam store page said. Hello to you too, Lexi. Hello to you too. We're playing a cute little game. Well, it does have trauma though in it, so just be aware of that. Siobhan says, a lever. It's basic mechanics. If we both jump as hard as we can on the end, the lid will go flying. Vern says, will it really? Trust me. Are you ready, bird? Ready for what now? They're ready. Fine, let's give this a shot on 3. 1, 2, and a cartoonish spring sound. Oh, that wasn't good. That's not a raven. Wait, what? They said it was a raven, right? That's a pigeon. What? Dizza. Did I read that right? Hopefully right. Dizza. Oh my days. I almost died in there. I have no idea how you two busted me out, but mad respect. Verm says, how'd you even get stuck in the first place? So, like, You know that thing where you smell a bit of food and you follow it, and the next thing you know, you're stuck in a box surrounded by garbage? Yeah, who hasn't had that experience, am I right? Verm says, yeah. Dizza says, oh yeah, the name's Dizza, by the way. What? What about, daily? That happens to you daily. That's probably not good. Siobhan, it's a pleasure to meet you, Dizza. I'm Lady Siobhan, and this is Sir Verm. Again, I'm not a knight. Dizza says, you say you two were headed to Merida? The rodent capital, right? That journey's a breeze. Just a short flight southwest of here. I can take you right away. Siobhan says, are you sure? That's so kind of you. Hey, it's the least I can do for getting me out of that thing. Hop in the basket when you're ready. I think we're ready. Check we gotta check the backpack. There might be something really cool in there. Hopefully we don't get in trouble. Avern, this came in use after all. Wait, the ruler came out of there, right. Space pigeon. What's a space pigeon? Dizza says we're off to the rodent capital. Hold on tight, because I ain't stopping if you fall. No guarantees on this flight. Must be Spirit Airlines. Burn. Oh, cool, it's a map. Whoa. I'm controlling it. Wait, I forgot which way they said. Was it southwest or something? I forget which direction they said it was. TSA says don't pick up bags that aren't yours. That's true, Tammy. That's a very good thing. You should not do that. That's how you get in trouble. Oh, the map's not that big, so I'll probably figure it out. There's hopefully like a marker. Oh, that's probably it. This would be southwest, yeah. Ooh! I clicked it. Whoa! What was that about? Dizza, this station is Merida. Had a good flight? Verm says, yeah, pretty smooth. What did you think, Siobhan? She's gone. Dizza, yeah. Moles aren't built for flying. Anyways, Merida's through a gutter over there. It'll take you to a pipe that goes down, way down, to the underriver level. Oh, there's Big Ben. See? Yeah, London. I guess we're in London. It said it was somewhere in UK, so that's cool. Rosewood says, I'm going on a flight tomorrow with Spirit. I wonder if they'll use what's it? Variety pigeons too. Oh, carrier pigeons. Possibly. I assume that's what they possibly use to save on money. Have a fun flight too, wherever you're going, Rosewinsome. Hopefully it's somewhere awesome and fun. Verm says, so, Merida lies below. Just what kind of fancy god building is this place anyway? Dizza says, beats me. Was that Mouse Gang? Wait, Mouse Gang. Us pigeons just call it the Belfry. The Belfry? Siobhan says, the gods call it the Western Palace. It's just some old building they use for bureaucratic work. Like bureaucratic work. Siobhan says, but we won't see any godly business because Merida lies below the floorboards. The rodent city and the godly city, two societies that are so close but never overlap. Verm says, guess you're feeling better. I suppose I am. Thank you for the trip, Mr. Dizza. No probs, says Dizza. You two got me out of a real pickle. So feel free to stop by if you need to go somewhere else. We got ourselves transportation. All right. I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah. There's a lot of cranes for construction in the background. I'm not sure if that's common in the UK. In London, is there a lot of construction going on in London, usually? What were you doing inside that pickle? Probably eating it. I think pickles taste good. Pickles are yummy. Alexa Ying. Well, what a pleasure, Alexa Ying. Thank you for visiting us. We're watching. I'm playing a game with Mouse, and it's a Saga. And there's some trauma that's happened earlier, but we're working through it. And that's what we're doing right now. We're working through trauma through an adventure. Hopefully solving problems too. Verm, the Underriver. Siobhan says, this must be a bloody bridge. It connects to the city's east gate. Small says there's always construction going on in the UK. Oh, interesting. I was wondering if that was like a bit of exaggeration in the background with all those cranes, because those cranes are typically used to construct large buildings, I believe. Siobhan says, in the rapid water below is the moat of Merida. The current in the moat is so intense that anyone who falls in it sweeps straight out to sea. You sure know a lot about a random bridge. It's a famous bridge, Sir Vern. Wars have been decided on this very choke point. Fascinating, says Vern. I think I see the gate ahead. I think he's like, okay, we'll just keep moving. Siobhan says, the copper door of Merida's East Gate. The famous city beneath the city is just beyond here. Siobhan's like a tour guide. Thomas says, state your business. Verm, our business is our own, nosy. Siobhan, Sir Verm, be nice. The verification of all migrants and visitors is standard Merida procedure. I apologize for my companion. He's just a little cranky from the long journey. Vern, I'm not cranky. Ahem. State your business. Verm says, right, our business, we are... I want to say vagabonds. Small. Laying the truths. So speaking the truth, things are always getting built and destroyed. Yes, that is very true. That's how time and progression of change is part of how it works, yes. Alex the Yeen, anyways, was just hopping in to see what Noodle Boy was doing. Have fun. Oh, thank you, Alex. You take care and hopefully you have some fun too. Rose Winsome, a good way to make someone cranky is to call them cranky. Pro tip from Rose Winsome. I don't know what to say because I like all these options. Well, we're not merchants really. We're technically warriors, at least one of us. Vagabonds. What does vagabond exactly mean, definition wise? I know it's supposed to be a perceived, what do you call it? Derogative term, typically, right? Vagabond, a person who wanders from place to place without a home or job. What? We are wandering. We don't really have a home, but we do kind of have a job. So I'm gonna say warriors. That's kind of a basic answer there. Warriors, we're warriors. Warriors, swords for hire. Okay, now you're making a lot of assumptions there. Puh. Every vagabond who picks up a weapon thinks themselves a valiant sellsword. On the king's orders, Meridia's border is closed there's no admittance, especially for vagabonds like yourself. So it doesn't matter what answer I chose, basically. And it would have been helpful if Thomas told me ahead of time that the borders were closed. But okay. Oh, that's right. He was asking my business in case I had privilege. Then I would bypass the no entry, basically. So since I don't have privilege, I'm being told to go on my way. Good day. Verm says, can you maybe make an exception? Oh, he's gone. Bruce says, psst. Okay, who's Bruce? Ye two over here. You. I said that way wrong. Sorry. Let's get the treasure first, though. How many seeds? 5? 3. Less than 5. Let's see who Bruce is. Bruce is a colorfully dressed squirrel. Interesting outfit choice. Bruce, the a bookkeeper. Danae, let you pass, eh? Wait, what? Oh, Danae did not, basically. Danae. The ye bookkeeper. So that person was a bookkeeper. The ye bookkeeper Danae let you pass, eh? That's right. Right. No matter. There's another route. See this door? It's a service tunnel that goes T Merida. But it's a labyrinth. And I know the way. Everybody, just let me repeat that again. The squirrel knows the way. That's so silly. Siobhan says, so, you'll be our guide? That's great. Verm says, what's your price? Harlequin? What the heck is a harlequin? Okay, we're gonna look up harlequin because Ziggbee doesn't know all the words in the world. Harlequin. Did I spell it? I did not spell it right. How about define it? Oh, it's like a gesture. A mute character in traditional pantomime. What? Typically masked or dressed as a diamond pattern costume. Number 2, a small duck. Let me read the side, the cliff note here. Harlequin is the best known of the comic servant characters from the Italian commedia. Okay, this is not helping me. Are they jesters? They're like clowns, right? For laughter and merry, I assume. Bruce and the bagpipes start up. You feel like there's negative connotations with vagabond? Yeah, there is. Clearly, because everyone wants to say it meanly and then deny us stuff. Verm says, what's your price, Harlequin? I gotta click the game. There we go. Price? Verm says, I'm no fool. You want seeds, right? Bruce says, nah, I didn't want your seeds. Just your skills. Our skills? You warrior, eh? Sometimes there's a few ye bugs on the path. I reckon ye could blast them silly. Verm says, if it's just a few wee bugs, why don't you fight them yourself? I'm a bard, not a fighter. A lousy pacifist. Oh my gosh, Verm, don't be mean. Bards are awesome in RPGs. Siobhan says, I think that's a very fair offer, Mr. Squirrel. What do you say? Oh wait, that's not the squirrel. Siobhan says, what do you say, Sir Vern? I say deal. I say deal. Verm says, bugs are pushovers. I say we have a deal, Squirrel. Magic names, Bruce. Magic names? Magic names, Bruce, by the way. I'm Verm. And I'm Lady Siobhan. No, wait. Just Siobhan. Nice to meet you, Bruce. Bruce says, pleasure to meet ye both. But let's not waste any more time. Bruce has joined the party. Bruce is silly. You ready, Bruce? Before we go, Bruce, I just want to make a quick look around really quick and read this sign, because I read apparently a lot of stuff now. Warning! The service tunnel is for authorized personnel only. That sign is for suggestions. Can I open again? Can I talk to them again? Excuse me. I got to scroll in my party now. The door doesn't budge. Okay, well, that's fine. I want to see if you had different dialogue. Magic is just used as like cool or okay. So cool. The name's Bruce, by the way. Small, is that for reals? Who uses that slang? Is that from the UK or something? I've never heard magic used in that context before. But I find it very fascinating now. Can I start using it? It's old? Oh. Magic, Small. Magic. Thomas says, oh, I almost forgot. Don't even think of using the service tunnel because one of our engineers was eaten by a... they're gone. Well, not my fleas. Not my circus. I love their sayings and stuff. A saving point and a statue to learn more about. It's a copper statue of a shrew holding a scroll. Very nice. The plaque reads, beauty can be found in all things. That's a beautiful saying. Build master, this hero viz. I can't read that. First architect of Merida. Visharu Vizus. Plans ahead, save. Yes, I'm gonna save. We're gonna do the bottom because we're keeping our trauma. Bruce is so tall. Yeah, Bruce is very tall. Your game has been saved. Thank you. Okay, we'll continue on. What is that? It looks kind of messy. The labyrinth. OMG, wait. Bruce pencil is hollowed out to be a flute because he's a bar. Oh! That's really creative. You're right. We've got a problem. We got a problem. I don't know if he speaks like that or not. Our route goes via this tunnel, but it's all clogged with fat and gunk and God knows what. So we dig, so we eat, so we go back. I'm gonna say dig. I don't know why we're just gonna eat random stuff, but Verm says, so we dig? Bruce says, you're welcome to get your hands dirty, lad. But I ain't touching that foul blob. Siobhan says, I've got a better idea. This is an under-river pipe, right? So there must be a way to control the water flow. Okay, Siobhan knows way too much for being just a mole. If you can increase the pressure, the blockage will pop right out. Siobhan's just busting out science, apparently. Bruce says, hey, ye a smart one, ain't ye? I reckon that just might work. Let's go find a tap or lever or something. Okay, let's go find it. Let's go find something. Hearing you try to read this in a broken British accent, but the slang both hurts and amuses me. You're welcome, Small. I don't know how to do voices or accents, so it's kind of like all a jumbled mess. That was really easy, just the next room. Won't that flood us though? You hear the distant sound of running water. The ocean floor was my wait, what is this? The ocean floor was my domain? I dine on fish to keep me sane. What is that? Vern, what was that? What was that? Siobhan says. Vern says, nothing. I must be hearing things. That was really creepy. It's funny because your dyslexia makes you read rec word individually. Which word? What? Each word individually. Yeah, I tried to. I hope it's an octopus in the pipes. I think you. How do you know? Do you know stuff? Cause I'm gonna say. Siobhan, whoa, it actually worked. Nice job, both ye. Let's press on. Small. Oh, can I just avoid it? I guess I can't. A foul roach. Just a wee bug. We got this. Oh, so you're literally not going to help. Ye bother. You've got this. Fine. Help me out, Siobhan. Cockroach. Cockroach. You calling it that? Oh yeah, it is its name as well. Oh wait, what's this new power I have? Cleave. Deal 2 slashing in a row. How is that different from like a normal swipe? Because swipe does 4 damage. Let's try it. Let's see what it does. Oh, that's more than 2 damage. That's 10 total. Whoa. So I did enrage. That'd be really powerful. Burn that bug. Oh, that was super easy. Oh, awesome. Did Vern just spit to the side there? did you see that? Can I go this way? Oh my gosh, I can. A button. You found a button shield. Did a previous adventure drop this? I don't know, but I want to equip it immediately. Where does a button go? From gutter end. I just wear it and it gives you a little bit more defense. Ignore the siren sounds. I'm not in trouble this time. Whoops, push wrong button. Okay, go over here. There's not any more secrets. It would be obvious. Well, I guess a secret wouldn't be obvious, but there's nothing else here, I don't think. Then we go over here. Another one of these situations. Bruce says, looks like another blocked pipe, fellas. Verm says, what a pain. Bruce, no point dawdling. Let's solve this. Let's try the bottom one first and then the top one next. This says number 2. Let's go on the other one first. It says 3. Huh. I guess we'll just try trial and error. You hear the hiss of building pressure. Is that enough pressure? Probably do both of them, that makes sense. Tasty. No, I'm not gonna eat the gross stuff in the pipe. I don't know what that stuff is. Small. You hear the distant sound of running water. Now this weird message again. The sea went dry as fish ran few. I ventured far for something new. It speaks in riddles. Verm says, did you hear that? Just a gurgle of the pipes, lad. I think I heard it too. It's a voice, but not one from any rodent I know. Rose Winsome knows it is probably octopus. The pipe unclogged of God's filth. Bruce says, hey mouse, I can't help but notice. You don't have any tail. Verm says, so what? Bruce says, just curious where it went, Saul. Verm says, the yellow god took it. Bruce says, yellow god. Siobhan says, Sir Verm is looking for him. He's headed to Meridia to find leads. Verm says, then I'm going to kill him. Siobhan says, wait, what? You didn't mention that before. Bruce says, the mouse who wants to kill a god. You're one mad lad. Yes, I am. Now his tail, I know Tammy Beans, I'm sorry. Took his tail and made him very cranky and edgy and made his cape black instead of blue. Now he carries a Swiss Army knife. Can I do a dual attack? Let's see. I'm gonna rage for fun to see what it does with the other power. So it's probably gonna do massive damage. Fire! Whoa. Whoa. That's okay. Now let's try the cleave. Oh, we can't use cleave yet. What is it? 2 hearts in the upper... Do you see that? I don't know what that means. If you start using powers, you can see my mouse on the screen. I'm not sure what this is. Let's do cleave. See what it does. Oh, I can't use it yet. So we're gonna use defend. Because I want to see how much damage it does. Fire! Oh, that was enough to just feed it? Okay, now I can do it probably, right? Watch this. I'll do the other one to not waste damage. Wow! That's good. It spilled over to another creature. It spit again. You see that? You see that? Well, that's cool. It doesn't get wasted. That's really awesome. So sassy. What if I did that? I think that's pretty cool. What if I started doing that whenever I'll put my hands up and then spit to the side? Another blockage. Oh, that's not the Bruce talking. Verm says, another blockage. This is getting tedious. Yes, tis. Wait, I pushed the wrong buttons. Bruce says, this is the last one, I swear. What? Why are you saying no? Oh, I shouldn't do that? Okay. Bruce says, Merida is right on the other side of this pipe. Siobhan says, hey, Bruce, why are you headed to Merida anyway? Going to busk for seed? What's busk for seed? Is that a word? Is that like entertain for seed or something? Busk. Perform music or other entertainment in the street or any other public place for monetary donations. I am learning all kinds of things today. Wait, did I say it right? I say it.
Busk.
Yeah, I said it right. Thank you, Google text-to-speech. Woo! Bruce says, not quite. I'm meeting up with my bandmate. Was Bruce gonna say boyfriend? Was Bruce gonna say boyfriend? Bruce says, then we're gonna head to Sky Garden to play music for the Squirrel Duke. Siobhan says, whoa, I've always wanted to see Sky Garden. Small says gay squirrel. Let's hope so. We need more gay characters in different stories. It's fun to have them. Verm says, sorry, if you're squeaking, that was my foot. Verm says, don't bother. I hear the squirrels there are a violent bunch. Oh my gosh. Siobhan says, Verm, that's so rude. Bruce says, ha ha ha. Nay, it's true. Sky Gardens ruled Ori by Clan Grey. They long earned their reputation as a bunch of old nasty bampots. Anyways, let's get this over with. As my accent breaks repeatedly. Let's go over here first. This is a new area, right? Oh my gosh, maybe we want to go here first. Let's go over here first. Wait, I'm getting lost. Oh no. Wait, we came from there. Okay, let's check out what this one is. That is the pipe. Why is there no marking on the wall? Oh, there it is, 5. Okay. Gives you context of where you are. Let's go explore first. I'm gonna get lost. No, I wanna go the first. I wanna go to the bottom place first. I don't think I'm gonna get lost. Do I have to fight all 3 or just 1? Need to find 4? Oh, did I not see 4 yet? Let's do the same tactic I did last time, Rage, because that will produce a lot of damage. Especially used with the other power cleave. Fire! I should look, I think they level. I should check to see if they need any more points and stuff. I need to guard now to get some more power. Super? Oh, so there's like crits then? Wait, oh my gosh, okay, we're not doing so great. Give me a second to think about this. Well, I can only use a peanut once. I'm gonna lose a thing. Or maybe I should have just let her do it. I should have let her do it. Because I wasted her rage. Whoa! Attack with the cleave ability. Whoa! Whoa, nice. Three's kind of hard, actually. A little more challenging. I guess it's because it hit Siobhan, because they can't take damage very good. Let's see what I can't do cleave yet. Bam! Hopefully there's abilities that allow you to get extra like combat diamond things or something. You done pipe 1, 2, and 3. Oh, I see. Maybe it's right over here. There it is, 4. Big wrinkle brain, small. Wait, it said nothing happened. Maybe I gotta do the other one first. The squirrel just walks around with their hands on their hip. There's 6? I'll do this one too. Nothing happens. Okay. There's no more stuff over here, right? Sorry, I'm just doing the same repeat stuff. I just want to double check. Yeah, there's nothing here. So I have to go to the last place, which has multiple places to go as well. You can go down here. Ooh, spiders. Ooh, there might be scaries in here. Oh, oh my gosh. You found an spider. An avirite. I don't know what kind of spider that is. Hopefully it's not dangerous. Oh my gosh, it's in the chest too. Let's do rage. Get out the box, you little twerp. I get it. He says like a rage comment whenever he rages. How about a little fire, spider? Throwing seeds. Can I keep the seeds? Wait. This could be a good deal. If it throws seeds at me, I can make profits. Wait, I should use cleave, right? No, I gotta, wait. Wait, I can't use the cleave if I use rage. No, that's okay. 4. Oh no, you can do better than that, actually. You can do the fire one. Bam! Burn it with fire. Oh. Okay, well, we'll just chill here too then. Because I assume that chest will give you defense powers. So I'm gonna get some more action stars. Or not stars, diamonds. Attack with cleave. Actually, cleave's pretty, well, what's the difference? Like, so basically, rage would be used with the basic attack. Okay, I think I get it. I kind of get it now, I think. Have a little fire, bug. Let me attack the chest. Let's see how much damage it does when it is in the chest, just to confirm. Oh, okay, so there's a little bit of damage. Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm doing good. Thank you, Rose. Cathel. Did I read the last part right? I got the Rose part right, though. Hello, Rose. You hate it here? Why, Small? It's got a little bit of creepies in it. You picked up an insect part. Oh, lovely. Gross. Why did you do that? You add it to your trinket, nonetheless. Is there any more in the chest? If I picked it up, is it some kind of like item I can use? That somebody can use? Can the squirrel use this weird? Oh, it said trinket though, right? Why did you pick this up? Gross. I assume I'm gonna use it eventually. Oh, even the squirrel has a point. Oh, let's see what they do. Bruce plays a variety of supportive and healing melodies. Oh, that's cool. I love healing and supportive classes. What choices do we have? Sweet melody cures status elements. Okay, I don't like that typically. I like heals. Defending recovers one. What? I'm not sure which would be better. Wait, let me go to another person. Like, these other people don't have... Increase max by 1. Oh, what did I do? Did I push a button? Oh, you can undo? I think you can easily undo things. Well, I do like more powers. Sweet Melody cures status. I'll try that. It might be Sweet Melody might be the main power, and it might add a bonus effect to it. I'm just guessing though, I'm not sure. What's this? No. I like that. What's the next things we get to choose? Allies can see enemy HP and status effects. Yes! I want to see this. I want to see their status and health. Well, mainly their health. And I only have one choice here, is that right? This will just increase. Okay, that's wonderful. While in a berserk state, Worm heals 2 health at the start of each turn. Oh, that's awesome. I love RPGs and they give you like little powers and stuff. I wish this crew would join us though, but eventually they will join us, I think, and help us fight, which would be really cool. A broken statue. Who's this? It's a copper statue of some kind of warrior. It seems to have been damaged by the elements. The head is missing and the plaque has eroded beyond comprehension. The nameless warrior still stands. Save the game, yes. Your game has been saved. Oh, I wonder whether that was. Wait, did I go everywhere yet? Wait, there's one more place. I'm not very good at labyrinths sometimes, because I can get lost in them. Sometimes in games I used to walk in circles too. You hear the hiss of building pressure. Finally! Wait, do you have to do this in order or anything? I guess we'll find out when we look at the pipe. We do have to do it like in an order. So that was 4. So we'd probably do 5 next. Thank you, Small. Small, see, you're totally on your A game today. You know exactly what to do. There we go. Okay, so we need to do them in order as well. Okay. Good to know. And the last one. You hear the distant sound of running water. Yeah, we did it. Oh, here's a weird message again. Pursuing tastes of sweeter meats, I braved foul streams for gourmet treats. Siobhan says, that sounded pretty close. Bruce says, can me deny I heard that one. Verm says, what did you get us into, clown? Oh my gosh, you don't have to call him a clown. What's happening, bros? Well, as I mentioned, I thought I was having an ear infection yesterday during Leo's stream. I got worse this morning and went to the clinic, and turns out I have COVID again. So this makes my 4th time having COVID. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Rose. That's really not fun. Yeah, that sucks. COVID is being out of control. At least it's not, at least hopefully, knock on wood, as bad for some of us now, because it's been going around a lot since it came around, basically. I have no idea how many times I've got it. I haven't gotten the vaccines, so I've gotten COVID vaccines. I got my flu shot too. So hopefully it keeps me a little bit protected. I think I've gotten sick sometimes, but it's been short. It's been like a day or two of like feeling off. Oh my gosh. What is that? It's the octopus. I think it's octopus, right? Or is that a squid? Bruce says, just a wee bug. You got this. Verm says, that's not a bug, you flea-bitten fool. Siobhan says, it looks like the deep sea demizens. Wait, denizens I read about? Denizens. Did it come all this way for a meal? Now here I stand, thy lies forsaken. Commit my name, for I am Kraken. It's a Kraken, everybody. It's a Kraken. I've had it once after I flew on a plane. Yeah, it's hard not to get sick when you go on a plane because you're so close quarters to a whole bunch of people. Small says, I have no COVID vaccines and I've had it 2 times. Well, that's the thing, Small. It seems like even if you get the vaccine, you can still get it occasionally. But in theory, it should be less as harsh when you get it, basically. And it does help some people. So it's good to have protection a little bit. Rose says, yeah, this time I feel better than I get worse, then gets better, then worse again. Yeah, that's what happens to me, Rose. I mean, thank goodness it's not like serious, but it's kind of like an annoyance. It comes a little bit and goes sometimes. What did you say to my beans? Pretty big puss. What do you mean? It's not a cat. That's a Kraken. Rose says, so I don't know what it is going to do, and I can leave home for at least 5 days. Can't leave home can leave 5 days for 5 days. Yeah, try to get better, Rose. Definitely try to get better. Small says, it's almost impossible for me to get it. Small, you shouldn't say impossible things like that. Sometimes life likes to be like, oh, you think you can't get it, and it gives it to you. Tammy says octopus. Oh, sorry. Kraken. Yeah, it's a Kraken. Verm says, Bruce, we could really use your help with this. Yeah, Bruce, I want to see what you can do. Bruce says, I'm going to really lean into this one. Right you are. Where are my lucky charms? They're playing the bagpipes. I'll play a tune to rise your spirits. That's not helpful. No, I think it's very helpful, Vern. Again, bards are wonderful in RPGs. Let's go. Rage up. Berserk. I'll dice you into calamari. Next. Oops, wrong button. Fire. Burn it with fire. Woo! It's resistant to fire because it's water related. Does anyone guess in RPGs what typically hurts a creature like Kraken? Can you guess the element? Actually, don't say it. Oh, never mind. Small, we got it. Yes, lightning's typically what is a weakness to animals or creatures of water related stuff. No, it's fine. I was going to make a poll and waste time. These two powers are Encore. Give a bonus turn to an ally. Oh, that's awesome. Sweet Tune. Heal an ally. Ooh, I love all these powers a lot, actually. Let's go ahead and give Verm an extra turn. I love it! I love it. I don't know if it helped, but I love it. Okay. Let's do Cleave. It's going to be like 4 attacks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo! Oh. Well, that was kind of creepy and scary. I get to go again. 1 power. I'll use a swipe. Attack. Let's see. Can we heal? We'll do a Sweet Tune. It should heal an ailment of stun, probably. How much does it heal for? I hope a lot. 6. That's awesome. That was kind of a sus whip sound. That was. Loving the bagpipes, Rose. Oh, Tammy, here comes the boss. Be safe, Tammy. Act like you're working, quick. Burn! Should I use the other attack? I might try the other attack because it might do more damage. We don't need to heal anybody, but if you could do... You can't do that yet. You can do Sweet Tune. Wait, they both take 2? That's fair, because that's very beneficial, actually. That whip sound. Okay, what do I have? I have one little energy thing or whatever, or damage. Let's go ahead and do... You can't. I might give you the peanut, actually, so you can heal yourself. Let's try the whack one. It might do more damage than 3. 4! That's 1 more damage. That's something. Let's go ahead and heal our weakest... our weakest party member, the mage, which is typical. Mages are typically ice. Okay. I was gonna say, not ice, glass cannons. I almost wanted to... No, I should heal. Let's do heals. Because he does have the peanuts. Let's give it to her. So she's fine. And then we shall use Encore. Do you have Encore? Nope, you can't do Encore still. Defend. Wait, can they not generate any more... Oh no, they can't generate any more abilities. I need the other power. Oh no. I'll have to switch to power when I get out of combat. You love that whip noise? It sounds so sus though. We'll do a cleave. 8 damage. And then we'll do fire. No, not fire, back. Super! Oh, they got a ability thing. I thought they couldn't give them anymore. Oh, we should do a heal again. It's kind of boring though. No, we should do Encore. I want to do some damage. This should finish it, I think. Whoa! Whoa! Okay, okay. Maybe she is a liability. Kraken says, what strength such tiny creatures bear. You force my flight to an empty lair. Hopefully, Siobhan still gets experience, right? Oh, we leveled. Siobhan learned Overclock. Verm says ... Siobhan says ... And Bruce says, what did I tell ye? Just a wee bug. Verm says, an ocean monster doesn't count as a wee bug. Bruce says, nah, brother. You had it in the bag. Verm says, I don't appreciate being deceived. Bruce says, I got hee-haw tea hide. Wait, what? Hopefully I'm not. Am I peeking again? I see I'm in the red a little bit. Let me just turn down a little tiny bit. I got hee-haw tea hide. I don't know what that means. Can you translate that for me, Small? I got hee-haw. Wait, I got hee-haw tea hide. I've got nothing to hide. Oh, thank you, Small. Thank you, Small. Oh, yeah? Then why wear a mask? Siobhan says, why are you two fighting? We're nearly at Merida. Bruce says, ye my old friend is right. What's done is done. No point squabbling. No point squabbling. Verm says, I guess. All right, to Merida. We're going to Merida City. We're going to Merida. It's almost like Pokemon, like Viridian City. No, just kidding. Okay, let's go in here, inside here. Whoa! Whoa, they have like houses and all this stuff, and they have like a statue holding a world. And Metropolis beneath the floorboards. You can say rat again, Small? Rat! I don't think so. Wait, that might be a rat. I love this place. I want to live here. It might be stinky though, but I like it. Verm, this is Merida. This place is so cool. Aye, this is it. It doesn't look as glamorous as I imagined. Oh, this is just... oh, this is just a shipping district. Hold on, I'll walk ye to the city entrance over that way. Bruce, I just let you teleport. Adrain. Wait, Adrain? I don't know. Clear out of here. Punks, we got merch to move. Okay. I'm gonna steal your merch. Where's your merch? Oh, I saw something. You found 3 seeds. Oh, that's wonderful. Hallelujah. What's in here? Found 2 seeds. I see a treasure of secrets over there. Not sure how to get there yet. We'll figure it out though. We'll figure it out. More treasure? Over here? No. Secrets over here. Oh, I didn't want to go that far. I didn't want to go that far. Whoa, that statue. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Is this against TOS? This might be against TOS. Should I blur this? Bruce says, that's Ratless. Like Atlas. Again, that's pretty cool. The statue of the city entry. I like that statue, actually. Bruce says, which means this is where we part ways. No, stay with us, Bruce. You have bard powers. I need them. Bruce says, I'm meeting my friend. Then we're off to Sky Garden. I think it's a boyfriend. I think it really is. I think Bruce is a boyfriend. I want to see Bruce's boyfriend. Siobhan says, good luck, Bruce. Play their stockings off. Is that a double entendre there? Hopefully no one knows what I mean. Bruce says, will do, and thanks for all the help. Hey, maybe we'll meet again sometime. I'm gonna say maybe, because I really hope we do, because I want a bard in the party. Vern says, maybe. It's up to the gods. New and old, am I right? Bruce says, take care. You too, Bruce. Have fun with your friend. Go play their socks off. Yeah, it is very spicy. It's funny though, because it's almost like you watch cartoons and they include spicy stuff, but they hide it a little bit. Verm, I've got things to do here too. I know, you're looking for leads on the Yellow God. Sir Verm, I want to help, and I'm not taking no for an answer. So I'm going to do some research at Merida's library. The library? Well, that's the best place to learn new things, right? That might be a book on the Yellow God. Vern says, makes sense, I guess. Books aren't my thing. Lying. I'm gonna go to the library and read all their books. Okay, I'm gonna read this again, Vern. Books aren't my thing, so I'm heading to the royal palace. I bet the king knows a thing or two. Siobhan says, Sir Vern, I don't think they let just anybody have an audience with the king. I didn't think of that. You reckon there's a booking system or something? Siobhan says, maybe. Whatever, I'll go find out. Let's split up and meet back here in a little while. Okay. Oh, look at the little mouse playing games. Oh, they're so cute. This statue is so spicy. I'm gonna go back because I think there's more over here though. I checked over here, right? Whoa, I can get up. Whoa. Whoa. Uh-oh. Did I break the game? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wait, is this supposed to happen? Hello? Hello? Oh my gosh. Hello? Reality's breaking. Just out of reach. You broke it, Ziggy. I did. Listen, I'm trying. Is this how you do it? Oh no. Oh no. Am I gonna have to go back? I mean, I guess I'm gonna rush through everything. Oh my god. What does that say? Cannards. Dwarf? Hello, governors. Hopefully I can get back on the geometry. There's the S symbol again. Maybe yes. Yes, I saw the door. Let's try it again. Oh, I saw it. Where is it? Ah, I saw it for a split second. We have to go like this. Come on, we can do this. We can undo these things. It's just a little bug. If I go up higher? Because I saw it. You saw it for a split second too, right? There. Oops. Yes. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, we fixed it. That's a bug. That's definitely a bug. Woo. What is this? Stilton? There's a rat possibly, or a mouse. Heck. Rude. Wow, what is this? You found 2 seeds. What is in there? Whoa, what is that? I found a spring onion. I should be careful around barrels because I went through the wall. What's going on here? Jade says, you came here through the service tunnel? You absolutely plonkers. But hey, I guess you survived. Welcome to Merida. Thank you. That's an interesting hat you have there. Do you know how to get to the treasure? I went through out of bounds. Okay, let's continue. Plonkers. Okay, Small, is that a real word too? Is this UK slang words? Or like dialect or something? Plonker. Plonker. A foolish, inept, or contemptible person. Whew. First I want to look up contemptible. I know what foolish means. And inept is probably somewhat of foolish. Contemptible. Deserving contempt. Despicable. It doesn't help when they put the word in the same definition as the yeah. It doesn't help so much sometimes. You just got insulted in British. Well, that's awesome. I like it though, actually. What's going on, kid? Miles says, wish we had a field or something. There's no room here. Isn't this place supposed to be huge, Miles? Lucas says, I'm gonna be captain of Merida PC, just you watch. I don't know what PC stands for. Something, I don't know what that stands for. Oh, look at this. Oh, what's going on? Sally says, just done me shopping. The merchant quarters, so convenient. Ooh, I wanna go shopping too. What if I get hit by the ball? Will I fall? Uh-oh. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that, kids. I was just curious what was going to happen here. Can you kick it? Here. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Thank goodness. I thought I ruined their fun. That's really creative and cool they put that in there. Book Nook. Sir, what are you doing? Bubble says, out of my way, nerd. Wait, what is the last part? No raids. The Apoco... Wait. The Apoco Llama. Thank you for the raid of 5. That's a lot of people. Thank you. I appreciate it. What were you playing today on Twitch? If I may inquire. I'll be right back, Rose. Okay, Rose. I'll be here. Is this a library or is this like a bookstore? Oh my gosh. We're going to be here forever, everybody. Just to warn you, we're going to be here forever. Tadhuck? I come here just to smell the books. Love that new book scent. That's true. New book and new trading card smells kind of nice sometimes. Ruth says, I keep telling people this isn't a library. And yet people come in just to stand around reading our books. Ruth, I got bad news for you. I'm doing the same thing. At least I know this is not a library. You see a book titled The Moonlight Mystery. It looks dark. Oh, hello, Callie. Welcome. First time chatter too. That comes from the raid, I assume. What does Llama say? I was putting my face onto stream. Gonna be playing Fortnite shortly. Oh, that's awesome. Have fun in Fortnite. You got a lot of cool skins. I try to play Fortnite, but then I didn't really play it very much, and I kind of don't have any skins, so it makes me kind of sad and not want to play it. There's like cool skins like a werewolf and stuff, and you can't get them anymore, and it's just sad, actually. Callie says, I'm actually just here because I'm searching for people playing small Saga. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we just started at roughly, I mean me and you, the viewing audience, and so far really awesome. I'm really loving it. Llama says, I'm addicted. Well, you probably are, especially if you collected a lot of skins and stuff, because now you're kind of invested in that game. That's what happens sometimes when you invest a lot of your time and effort and collect things, then you can never leave that game. You're stuck there forever. Small, what are you doing? Why are you being suspicious? Rose says, hello, new people. Welcome. Thank you, Rose, for being nice to new people that are finding the stream. Llama says, Fortnite just went back to OG. They are bringing back older skins. You say what now? For reals? I'm gonna have to look into that actually, Llama. Thank you for telling me that. I did not know that. I don't keep track with a lot of stuff. I'll have to remember to check that. I'm curious now. Because if you can get the werewolf skins and stuff, I might play a little bit for fun because I'm a sucker for cool skins and stuff. Cool avatars. Kelly says, I beat the game myself and it made me feel very special. So now I want to see others get that special feeling. Oh, that's awesome, Kelly. You completed it really fast. But I'm going to do it kind of slow though because I'm really like taking my time exploring a lot. And plus I'm slow. What did you say, Small? I get credit for translating. What kind of credit do you want, Small? You are helping me translate though. This is slang and stuff I'm not familiar with. Evil Guardian, thank you for the follow. And Callie, thank you for the follow too. Rose, yeah, I didn't look. My sense of taste. This sandwich is yummy. Oh, you didn't lose your sense of taste? That's good. Sometimes that happens with COVID and stuff. Yeah, that's good you keep it though. Wait, what was I doing? I was reading a book, right? Yeah. The detective gazed at the scene. Blood splatters, claw marks, furniture torn in two, all the classic hallmarks of a Titan attack, just like the old mole had said. But something didn't add up. Why did the victim reach for his silver knife instead of his steel sword? Unless a shiver shot down the detective's spine and a whisper passed through her teeth. Mouse wolf. Whoa! I want to read more. Is that the entire book? Wait, is there pages? Wait, let me try. Oh, is that all of it? I want to read the rest of it. I want to read the next chapter. You see a book titled The Destitute. What's that word? Destitute. It's heavy. How heavy is it? Sir Jacques threw a ragged bowl at the lore master's feet. I caught this scum making off into the night with a bag of your seeds. The lore master shook his head. Why, this rodent is no thief. I gave him those seeds as a parting gift. Sir Jacques let out a huff. He turned to his prisoner. It seems that the lore master has saved your tail today. But mark my words, I've got my eye on you. Wait, what was the name of that? Was the name important? Vol'jin. This might have like references or something to other things. I'm not sure of all of them. I didn't lose, sorry. I am typing too fast. No, I do that all the time, Rose. I always make typos like all the time. I type in chats and stuff. You see a book titled Star-Crossed Squirrels. It looks well read. Ooh, is it romantic? Is it about Bruce? No, Maretta? Oh, dearest Sheena, I long to once again feel thy embrace, and yet I fret our love cannot be so. For squirrels, gray and red, cannot be wed. Least our fathers clash in battle throw, something like that. And Sheena says, clans gray and red are not but shades, mere dye upon an artist's canvas. If color stands before our love, then I renounce my father's hue. Come take my paw, dear Marietta, and let us paint a color new. Aw, that's why it's well read. That's a pretty spicy book. I like that book. That book's pretty spicy. You see a book titled Mousewife. Missives, a tale of lust and longing. Uh-oh, we're getting more spicy. Thank you for, oh my gosh, use the emotes, Llama. Aw, thank you, Llama, for using the emotes. Read the spicy book. The cover is enticing, but now it's not the time to read this. Oh, they don't want me to read. Let me read it again. A tale of lust and longing. Okay, it's so spicy you're not gonna let me read it. Ground floor fiction. First floor nonfiction. Remember, if you eat it, you buy it. So these are true stories then, right? Wait, nonfiction. Nonfiction is real. Let me read that again. Fiction. The ground floor. First floor nonfiction. Oh, so this is the first floor, right? Ground floor is up one. Wait, I'm confused. Let me think about. I'm sorry, I'm going blank. What does it say, Llama? I have 2 ferrets in real life. Oh, that's wonderful, Llama. Make sure to give them lots of hugs and pets and treats and let them play a lot, okay? Ferrets are adorable and cute, and they're very funny too. Llama says, you are so cute. I found you originally on TikTok. Oh, thank you, Llama, for telling me where you found me too. Yeah, that's where a lot of people find me, is on TikTok. I'm not sure so much anymore because I don't stream as much, and TikTok changed some. But yeah, hopefully I can stream more on TikTok again sometime. Callie says ground floor is a lower floor, and the first floor is a first floor above the ground floor. For reals? So fiction is ground floor, so it's up. So the stories below are real, right? The spicy one's real? That doesn't make sense. Star-crossed squirrels? That's real? Morning light mystery? I don't think these are real though. Maybe I misunderstood. Let's see what the top, the upstairs. Ooh, that's very suspicious character over there. Is that a plague doctor? You see a book titled Jane's Ascent. Lore Master Tubin. When the flames of the Great Fire trial grew beyond control, the Imperial soldiers were the first to scatter and flee, leaving the Meridian citizens to a blazing demise. But then a mouse peasant called Artura stepped forward. She rounded up a dozen of her peers. James Vishir. Wait, I've seen that name before, actually. Another book. What was that story about? What was that story about? Gosh, I don't have a very good memory, but we saw that word before. We saw that name before. And Grace, the red among them. And Grace, the red among them. And demonstrated how to fashion a smoke-proof mask from a thimble and a damped cloth. The group set to work putting out fires and directing others to safety. So they do have the ability to make like gas masks, maybe, or at least for smoke. The fire consumed Meridium and much of Rodentia. However, thanks to Artura's quick and selfless actions, thousands of lives were saved from a horrific demise. In the following days, once the ash had settled and the tears had been shed, the people of Meridium nominated Artura to lead the city as a first in a new line of monarchs, but she declined the offer, nominating James the Black Rat in her stead. So James is a black rat. Thus James was crowned as the first king of Rodentia, with Artura serving as both Blade Master and founder of the apothely named Fimbulgard. Out of the ashes of Meridium, the modern city of Meridia was constructed. Since James' crowning, the Blue Rat monarchy has resigned over Rodentia for over 300 years. Why exactly Artura declined the throne will perhaps forever be a mystery. So this is nonfiction. Nonfiction is up here, because that was a true story. Let's see this again. Ground floor fiction, first floor. Okay, so that's right. You did explain it correctly. I just misunderstood. That's the ground floor. This is first floor, I think. I understand. Okay, let's read this book over here. You see a book titled Nora's Fall. What's going on in chat? Sketchy rat? Yeah, it's very sketchy rat. Rose says, ferrets are super adorable if you don't mind me asking what is their names. Aw, yeah, what is their names? Shrew Empress Nora was born in the twilight years of the Golden Laurel Empire, an era marked by rampant inflation. That sounds like our current period, am I right? Inflation, unprecedented austerity, and endless plagues. The citizens of Meridium called for respite, I'm not sure what it is, from their squalor, but Nora had none to offer. If the mice are hungry, they can eat their thatched roofs. The Empress famously muttered. Oh, is that like the Queen Elizabeth or something? They can, if they're hungry, they can eat cake. And she was out of touch, basically. Didn't realize that peasants were suffering beyond belief compared to how she lived normally. Golden Laurel Empire. Shrew Empress Nora. Shrew Empress Nora. The Shrew Empire fell, to my understanding. So they're probably misruling their empire, probably. I'm making some big assumptions, though. On a late summer's day, tensions came to a boil. Citizens pounded on the palace door and demanded justice. The senators, led by Senator Decimus, were happy to oblige. Speaking to the crowd, Decimus denounced Nora as a sole source of the citizens' ills. He proposed that the assesses Nora's guilt she be put through a trial by fire, an arcane test even for its time. The Imperial Guards constructed a great pyre of timber and straw in Meridium's city square. They tied Nora to its center mast. With a single spark, the fire ignited and the crowds let loose a ruckus cheer. The fire ate its fair share, but it's hungered for more. Flames danced from fire to haystack, from haystack to roof, and soon the whole city was ablaze. Wait, what? Is this the Shrew Empire? Meridiums? But this is Meridia, right? The damage caused by the Great Fire Trial was immense. Meridium burned to the ground. Thousands of rodents died and millions were displaced. The godly city above too suffered greatly. Thus, the great Golden Laurel Empire was reduced to ash. That must be the Shrew Empire, right? We hate her. Small, you're smart. You're smart, you have much wrinkles. Is this book talking about the Shrew Empire? I'm guessing. And did the Shrew Empire exist where Meridia is now? Because it has a similar sounding name. Meridium? You believe so? Yeah, it sounds something like that. Because that one book in the other place said that the Shrew... The only thing I remember is that the Shrew Empire fell or some business like that. You see a book titled God's Life and Death. This could be a good book. As a lore master who has dedicated her life to studying the behavior of gods, the most common question I get asked is, are the gods mortal? Yes, they are. Well, it's complicated. A conventional subject, to be sure, but there are verified witness accounts of gods succumbing to death by sickness, grievous carnage, injury, and even old age. The second most common question I get is, how do the gods reproduce? To which I answer noisily. Oh, these books are good. You see a book titled Delicious Mouse Recipes by Jan Olive. Pasta a la Jan. Dinner for one. Ingredients: 1 piece of penne. Just one little piece of penne pasta. Small tomato. Okay. Acorn cup of water. Salt, pepper, basil, and oregano to taste. Direction: crush the tomato, mix the tomato water and spices, stuff the panini tube with the sauce, and place it in a metal pan. Pour any remaining sauce on top, bake for 15 minutes, and bon appetit. No, that's not bon appetit. I'm just making up words now. Bene sapiat. Sapiat. I don't know what that means. This rodent sold some folks. Yes, Kelly, that is true. They did. Now we're gonna talk. We read all the books, I think. We're gonna talk to this very suspicious character here. Hello, Plague Doctor. Aquila. A sellsword? Shoot, I have no time for you. Are you a sellsword? That's a Plague Doctor, therefore going around. They use the outfit supposedly like to make the plague go away or something like that. Can I read this book? No, I guess we're done here. We read everything, everybody. Our knowledge has increased significantly. Artura Street. Oh, see the name Artura? Artura. That's the one that helped save things and didn't want to become the leader. Rose says, Ziggbee, how is Sib? Sib is doing good, thank you. Sib's doing good. Small says it was to protect themselves from the plague. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Small. Who's this dapper fellow here? I think it's a rat, Small. This might be a rat. Young King Titan's border. A win for the people. Young King Titan's border. Oh, that's about they're closing the borders. Tom says, one can't help but wonder. May says, the gods above us never stop hooting and jeering. Makes it hard to get some shut-eye. Oh, hello. What does that say on there? Sniff? Strive? Squeak. That's adorable. I'm gonna steal stuff from your house. Is that okay? Hey, you good at robbing people? Ever thought about being a landlord? That's funny. Cassandra. Wait. Cassandra. This cube cost me 2,000 seeds a month, and it doesn't even come with a loo? Whoa, that's too much. Cassandar. Is that right, Small? That's way too much. Morning be hello. That's way too much for any place, honestly. What is your job though? Seriously, can you afford 2,000 seed rent for a one room like building? That's like a waste of money. Swap the R and A. Swap the R and A. R and A. Cassandar. Cassandar? Cassandar. Is that closer? I'm small. Being honest with you, I'm probably gonna forget that. Can I get in this house here? I don't see a door entrance. Oh, I see something in the wheelbarrow. How do I get over there? Please don't go through the wall and break the game. Oh, it's a needle in a haystack. It's a joke. I get it. I feel bad robbing this place. This is some kid. Dad's working late again. Wait. What you got there? My sword? No, not that stupid thing. The piece of paper is a draw. Is it a drawing? This? It's a map. Can't make whiskers nor tails of it though. Whoa, cool. It's got an X, just like it's marked some pirate's treasure. Sure, it's just like that. It looks like the maps of the kingdom I've seen in school. That big blue sigil is the King's River, and the Meridia's over here, just next to it. But the X is way over there in the northeast. Oh, right. So north is up. East, yeah. Did you miss a class in school or something? Never went. Whoa, lucky. A new location has been added to your map. Oh, thank goodness it's been added to my map. I thought I was gonna have to figure it out. Small says face palm. You read it Cassandar. Dre. Cassandra? Dra. Cassandra. Cassandra? Is it still wrong? Llama says my ferret's name are Pico and Nova. Sorry, stepped away. No problems. That's cool. Small says you read it right. Whoa, woo! Thank you. So it was Cassandra. Cassandra. It's hard to read small. It's adorable little. Should I steal from this place? What is this? It's a kid's drawing. You have no idea who these people are. You found 2 seeds. I'm just stealing people's stuff. Am I getting in trouble for that later? Probably. Whoa, that's a big shoe. What is going on up there? There's a lot of stuff going on here. Want to fall down this hole? No. Lucas! Psh, the guard ain't so tough. Just a bunch of toffs playing soldier. I don't know what toffs are. That's probably another UK slang. The guards are a real pain in the tail. I can barely leave my shack without being stopped and searched. It's an insult. But what does it mean, though? It means something more than just the insult. Bar of soap, I think. Is there any neat seeds over here? I should go in this door. Well, it's a chef. I know some recipes, chef. I also know how to steal things. You found a spring of coriander. How fragrant. Oh, chef. What's going on? Vi? Welcome, Mouse. Welcome to my humble little restaurant. Tell me, do you appreciate the fine pleasures of gourmet cuisine? I do, yes. Sure, food's great. Ah, a connoisseur. If you bring me rare ingredients, I can craft dishes that transcend the usual Meridian swill. I can make the food of the gods. Oh my gosh. Vern says, okay. But what dish to start with, Perhaps a delicate nut flour cookie with just a hint of rose water. Bring me a pistachio, and I shall make for you a gahoraba. I don't even know how to say that. Is something silent? Gahoraba. I don't know what that is. Is it anything like what is that? What is it called? It's like honey and pistachios. I can't think of it at the moment. Small says just a derogatory term for someone of a higher economic class. Oh, I see. So that's yeah. But fair enough. Fair enough. How do I become a part of the higher economic class? Oh, that's right. It's not easily accessible. Oh, did I talk to the person with the mushroom hat? I think I did, though. The guard are real pain. Yeah, I did. Okay. You get money. Okay, so it's that easy. Excuse me, everybody. I'm gonna go. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some money so I can be a part of the upper class. Goodbye, all you poor people. I don't think it's that easy, but it would be nice if it was. Baby Green Witch, I am the higher economic. Just kidding, just kidding. I am just a swamp creature. It's okay, Green. Beba Green Witch, we can pretend in dreams sometimes. We can dream, pretend we're rich sometimes. Why not? I like that the mouse is fishing from like a can. You're not gonna, unless you put something in there, there's not gonna be anything that's gonna come out. What's going on over here? Lawrence says, it's all quiet in Gutter End today. Let's hope it stays that way. Yep, that's where I probably live, is Gutter Way. Don't mind me, just taking a break from the young'uns. All 14 of them. Whoa! Now run along, Scramp, before I put the boots to you. Haha, just pulling your whiskers. Aww. Somebody has a lot of kids. Oh, that's creative. It's like a loom. Or literally is a loom. Connor says sigh. What's wrong, Connor? I want to join the Thimble Guard someday. I could be a real hero, like Mathwell, or Diego, or Leo. But I can't afford the fees, so I'll stick with the family business. I'm gonna ask him about fees. Maybe I have enough money for him. Probably not, considering rent costs 2,000 seeds. Wait, you have to pay a fee to join the guard? Sort of. You have to pay to get the proper certifications and equipment and stuff. It's not much for nobles, but it's quite a bit for us gutter folk. I see. Oh, I'm waffling. Did you want something? Nah, I'm just looking around. All right. No, tell me how much it costs. For me, a needle mends and creates. For Sir Leo, it's a deadly sword. Needlework is all down to the one who holds the tool. Leo, tell me how much it is. Maybe I can help you, or unless I can't help you. Yeah, it says the same thing. Okay, so maybe it's not something I can help him with. You want to become a knight, mate? You gotta have your dreams. Oh, I'm pushing the wrong buttons. Oops, I'm pushing more wrong buttons. I have 23 seeds. I can't afford rent here. Wait, this leads to the gatehouse. Oh yeah, we don't want to go there. The place must be in the other direction. So okay, I explored all this. I explored the other level. We're almost done with the city, I think. We went in there. I didn't go behind the alley here. I don't know if this goes anywhere. It does. Oh, this is a bat. I cough, sorry. It's a bat. But first I gotta steal some more seeds really quick. Little bat, what's going on? Hey kid, wanna buy something? Well, sure, what you got there? Special? Yeah, what you got? What you got? You're a fighter, right? So what about a berserker mushroom? The water valves of Sakamvik? I don't know how to read that. Eat before battling. True facts. One mushroom is 8 seeds. I don't want to buy it because I'm not rich. I'm gonna say no thanks. I might have to come back here if I have to fight like something that's really, really, really strong. Smart lad. Your mom taught you well. Wait, were you selling me something, narcotics? Wait, what? Wait, what are you doing? And what would those do? Sir, I'm gonna report you to the Thumble Guard or something. Commit no nuisance. That's a weird sign. Sketch bat, yes. This is accurate, honestly. What, to the UK? Or to bats? What's this? Aha, you! Abazonta? Abozota. Who? You're late. I am? Are you not the apprentice I requested? I am. Oh, I didn't mean to push that before. I'm going to do it now. Oh, I knew it. Abazota, the merchant extraordinary, has a great eye for these things. Listen well, my apprentice. There's a dock worker at Kennard's Wharf who has a package for me. Retrieve it and I'll reward you with seed or two. Only 1 or 2? Fine, whatever. A seed's a seed. But no peeking. If you peek at the package, then you shan't be paid, even a thumbpence. All right, dwarf, you said that's not far at all. Listen, I'm gonna peek at this stuff. Listen, if he's just gonna give me 2 seeds, he can keep his 2 seeds, and I want to see what this package is. Okay? Small says, in the UK, there's too many sketchy people trying to sell you things. For real? That sounds awful, Small. It's all these, basically everyone's trying to become rich so it can increase their social status or economic position and stuff. What are you doing over here? What's going on? I'm so bored. The merchant quarter used to be bursting with life, but now we were hit with that plague. Plague? Ooh, sword boy. You scared of spiders? Nope. Nothing I can't handle. Why? Oh, no reason. Where's your... where are they? Oh, that's a spider house. Oh my god, spider. What do you want, spider? Oh, they're friendly. What's going on, spider? Spider seems to be trying to communicate. How do I communicate? Do they want something? They increased in shaking and wiggling. Want some food? Offer the spider an insect part. Oh yeah, you offer the insect part. Oh my gosh, jackpot! The spider throws 10 seeds at you. Okay, see? Spiders can be nice. See, they have some seeds sometimes. Spider just trying to live his life, okay? How do I talk to that person? That person looks cool up there. Did I go in here yet? Yeah, I did. They want me to get something from the docks. And I'm gonna peek at what it is. I lived in the UK, so I've seen it all. My gosh, Small. I'd be scared to see all those things. I would want to avoid those peoples. Hey, you! See this fit? They're called Drip King. Wow, you got yourself a Supreme shirt. Maybe the Crocs? No, those aren't Crocs you're wearing. Drip King, how do you rate it? I'm gonna do a poll for this because I don't know if you qualified to answer this. Answer this. Is it 1, 10, or 100? Start the poll. View poll results. Bum, 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 bum. One person says 1. Kind of a salty response, but that's okay. You can do salty responses if you want. Small, are you the only one that did the poll? Did you pick number 1? I always blame you for stuff, Small. I'm sorry. Shh, I was right though. I was right. Someone picked 100 though. Someone's being Callie, you did 100. Oh, you're trying to be confrontational, or do you agree that? I mean, in classical internet, what do you call it? Trying to get the drip. That would be classified as the drip, I guess. But I wouldn't personally classify that as the drip. We don't like chavs. Okay, let's see what chavs are. Small is throwing out some more British words, I assume. Chavs. What British insult is this? A young person or a type characterized by coarse and brash behavior with connotations of low social status. Chav, or also charber, scally, and roadman is part of England. Is a British term usually used in a Pejorative way. Pejorative way. Pejorative way. Lovely, Small. I'm learning all kinds of words. Hopefully I don't get banned on Twitch for this. Rose says, I did the poll. I picked 100. Okay. Now I have to make a choice. I have to make a choice. To be fair, I can't show you the coin flip though, but I'll make a coin flip, okay? Heads, it'll be Small's choice. Tails, it'll be Rose. Coin flip, go. Heads, it'll be Small's. We got heads. It's gonna be Small's choice. Small, you are the winner. I give it a rating of 1. 1 out of 10. I'm just not feeling it. Bruh. I would be offended. But you are literally wearing rags. So I think there's like a little bit of projection going on, but I can help. Come talk to me when you're ready. Okay, brah. What you got for me? All right. So I can help you look a fraction as cool as me, but it'll cost you. How much? 12 seeds. Okay, but what exactly am I buying? You're buying my eye for fashion. Sorry, I'm yelling. I'm probably peeking on the microphone again. I'll ask you some questions. Take some measurements and make an outfit for you. What do you say? 12 seeds? I'm gonna do it. I wanna go through the experience, Small. It's a lie. Yeah, that is true. Actually, it would be a lie if I did 100. You're right. Do it. Okay, we're doing it. I want to do this. It could be fun. Fine, let's do it. Do this. Oh yeah. So just a few short questions. You ready? Hit me. Great. Question Ichi. Should fashion always be practical? My personal answer, Ziggbee's answer, is depends, which is a boring answer. Small, what would you say? I feel like we should be asking Solar for some reason. Solar knows fashion, I think, a little bit. Depends. I'm gonna pick depends too. That's what I would choose. Let's do depends. Interesting take. Okay, next. How many pairs of shoes do you own? Rose also says depends. I think it's a good answer. It's not a very definitive answer, or it's not definitive at all, but I think it's true. Let's see. None, a few, hundreds. I think again, a few would be reasonable. That's probably the boring answer. I think Drip King here would say 100. A few. Small says a few. I think a few as well. I'm picking a few. We're being kind of boring here. Rose agrees too. Drip King says fair enough. Okay, last one. This one's a toughie. Skinny or baggy jeans? Okay. Small says skinny. Now, Small, I'm gonna differ from you. I would probably go with a loose fit myself. Probably a normal fit or loose fit jeans. I wouldn't go baggy. Like, I wouldn't go like MC Hammer, if that's an old reference. Parachute pants. Parachute pants. I wouldn't go that far. That's too much. But I do like a loose jean. You both like skinny. I want to pick normal. Well, it doesn't say skinny. It says skinniest. So that sounds very uncomfortable, to be honest with you. But I find it's educational to learn what some of you feel is ideal for fashion. I'm gonna pick normal though, okay? I'm gonna pick normal. I don't like skinny. Too tight. Drip King says, all right, question time is over. I think Drip King's gonna say, you're boring and you're basic. Drip King says, I think I've got a good feel for the kind of fashion you're into. Let me just grab something special from around back. Is he gonna beat me up and rob me? Drip King says, here, try this on. You received a chick jacket snazzy. What is a chick jacket? Rose says, agreed. It does not sound too comfortable. Chic. Rip King says, you're going to look hella dapper in your new threads, I swear. Safe travels and stay stylish. I would like to try on this outfit. Would it be a what would it be? Is it like something I can wear here? Ah. Oh, it has a lot more stuff on it. It makes you feel cool. Oh, you can't see it though. For reals? Oh no. They really could have done more out. I mean, that's a lot of work for them to make art-wise, but that would have been so cool and over the top for this game, I think, if they allowed you to change outfits a little bit, just a little bit. That's unfortunate. Disappointment. That's it, I'm robbing you. Do you have anything to rob? I mean, I'll take the stats, but part of the fun is the cosmetic appearance. Wait, what if I talk to him when I'm wearing it? Stay stylish. You too. You too, bro. You too. Fresh veg. Get your fresh veg here. Barry, you need to stop yelling. You're scaring people. I'm just kidding. It actually helps. It helps you sell stuff. I know what this is. This is a... That's not a gerbil. That's a fancy, like a desert mouse. I think I've seen those. They have almost like a cute little lion's tail. Jerba. Excuse me, you there. Are you looking to buy some delicious, what does that say? Fustaku halab. I don't know what that is. Jerboa. Thank you, Small. I'm gonna forget that again though, but thank you for at least letting me say it right once. I'm gonna try to type out what that is. Was this game made in the UK? Is that why they have so much stuff that's like stuff that you would understand? What is this? What is it? Define? Am I missing something? I'll look at chat in a second. You might be yelling at me. Fustaku. Is that pistachio? It looks like pistachio. Chat, what am I doing? It's okay. Is that pistachio? Because I put just Fustuq and pictures of pistachios popped up. Well, I do want that because the chef says I can make that into something delicious. Let's buy that. Sir? I'll ask a question like, what is that? The most delicious nut. Very nutritious and filling. Oh, pistachio. I've eaten one of those before. Emba. Not like this. I personally ship them from my home overseas. Their flavor far surpasses the kind of native to Meridia. Rich and creamy, delicious by themselves, or ground into a Gordia biscuit. You make a good pitch. How much? For you, 7 seeds each. A bargain. I'm gonna buy one. Sounds good, I'll take it. You received a pistachio. Many thanks. It has been a pleasure doing business with you. I'm gonna go get to the chef. Paul says it's just a pistachio. Well, it sounds so fancy though. The chef wanted a pistachio, which I think the chef was over here. Oh no, they were down a level. They were down the down here. No, that's not the chef. Where's the chef? I don't remember where the chef. That's the beginning. Okay, no, it's on here. I'm gonna find it. Wait, is it up there? I think it's up there. Whee! Heck no, we won't go. We are lost. Help! Okay, now actually found it. Okay, here we go. Oh, do I got something for you, sir? Here's your pistachio. Excellent. It smells divine. You must have traveled far to procure it. Sir, I just came back in like a few minutes. How could I travel far? Verm says a guy was selling them up the road. Says, such humility. 10 seconds, if you please. This can be so delicious. I don't get to eat it for real, but I'm gonna assume it's very delicious. VY works some almond flour into a paste, then adds crumbs of pistachio and a single drop of rose water. He bakes the dough into a blazing wood oven. An aroma of sweet and floral biscuits fills the air. Voila! Gahoraba. I'm probably reading that way wrong, but I'm gonna keep saying that way. You received a Gahoraba cookie. It smells divine. What next, Perhaps a hearty steamed vegetable dumpling with a sesame drip? Bring me a peanut and a spring onion, and I will make for you Baazooey. Bababooey, no. Boaza. Listen, I have both those already, actually. You already have the peanut and spring onion. I wonder, Small, I think, food items might be reusable. Wait, I want to do equip. Whoops. Wait, what am I pushing? I'm pushing the wrong buttons, obviously. And... that's it. Whoa, 20! Pairs well with black tea. Heals 20 health? Oh my gosh. I guess you can eat the food forever, which doesn't make sense, but I'm glad it's reusable. Yes, please make the next thing. I got the ingredients. Here's your spring onion and peanut. Magnificent! A moment, if you please. Ooh, what do we get to make next? Will it be even more epic? It'll just be nice. It's exciting. VY fries the spring onion and a drop of sesame oil, along with a paw full of vegetables and some soy sauce. He pours the mixture onto a sheet of dough, carefully folds it into a ball, and then, voila! Whoa, that's a lot of steam. That's why like mouse cursor's like right in the way. Voila! Bozia! You received a baoza. It smells divine. Next, I want to try to make my magnum opus, my ultimate dish. See, I had a dream once. A dream of a forbidden food, a food not even the gods would dare to make. A cookie base encompassing a salad, all in the shape of a paw. Wait, what? Picture it. Dessert and greens all in one meal. That doesn't sound good, actually. The Verm says that sounds odd. Dream big, my friend. But I'll need something special for this to work. Bring me high quality chocolate, and I will make for you the king's paw. Holy Tolito! Okay, I want the king's paw, but we got another thing. Let me see this one. Ooh. And it recovers too. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes, queen. Even better. Oops, I didn't even do that. Oops, there we go. I'm gonna sneeze. Don't sneeze. They get. Oh my gosh. Listen, Small. Thank you, Small. Listen to me. Never mention this ever. I've never sneezed on stream. This is the first time ever. It's been almost like 2 or 3 years. Listen to me. This didn't happen, okay? If you tell the people, I'm gonna do lots of ASMR. I will do ASMR for a very long time. Do not tell any... I'm joking, Small. You can tell people, I suppose. But I really didn't. This is really the first time I sneezed on stream. I couldn't hold it. It was like instantly had to sneeze. Thank you, Rose, as well. Don't say bless me too much because it burns. Okay, what were we doing now? We need to get out of the menu. Well, we have one more cool item to make. Small says, if I keep to myself, you never do ASMR again. Do we have a deal? I can't make that deal, Small. Some people really love ASMR. I gotta sometimes diversify. If I told you I made the deal with that, I would be lying. So that's why I say you can tell others if you really want, but some people really want to hear you sneeze. No. No, Small. Yes. Hopefully it wasn't too clear of an audio. I don't know why I sneezed either. It just came out of nowhere. What have we not explored yet, though? Have we gone down here? Getting overwhelmed with choices. What is this? First, I want to check behind the barrels, but sometimes barrels are extremely dangerous because you can walk off the map. It was very clear. Thank you, Small. Oh, this place looks pretty cool. I want to play some cards. I'm hustling this sucker. Whoa, lady. They can probably hear you. I think I'm being hustled. Yeah, you are being hustled. Hello, what are you doing? What's the rush? Stay around a while. I'm waiting for my Lapa. I don't know what that is. He should be here any moment. Lapa? Where I'm from, it means paw, but it also means how to say it. Darling? Oh, got it. Wait, is this Squirrel's boyfriend? Is this Squirrel's boyfriend? Is it? Maybe. Ooh, we're finding things out, maybe. I hope it's true, though, because that's a really good feeling in this game where you can figure things out. Also, in Harlequin outfit. Yeah, exactly. Aww. I'm waiting for my Lapa. He should be here any moment. Where I'm from, it means paw, but it also means how to say it, darling. Aww. Hassan says, well, what'll be, friend? What do you recommend? How about the house special? 8 seeds for a pint. It'll put hair on your tail. Oh, that's not, I know that's a big oof. That's a big oof. I'm gonna say yes though, cause I think I got the money for it, right? Sounds good, take one. You receive a pint of special grog. But don't go trying to ride a god carriage while inebriated now, you hear me? Oh wait, will this give me disadvantages? I'm assuming it's an item I can use. Fortified beyond all reason, heals 10 health, may have side effects. See, I don't even need to use that because I got these awesome foods that don't have any negative side effects. Interesting. I don't know if we're gonna have more than 3 people in our party, but because once I get the chef the lost item they need, I'll have like 3 cool items for food related stuff. I take requests. What are you in the mood for? A blessing, a heroic tale, something catchy. I think a blessing. A blessing, all right. It's a dangerous world out there. Stay safe, traveler. Tell me the meaning of being lonely. Whoa.
Full of romance and wonder, full of heartbreak and splendor. Go and may no foe surround you, feral titans not hound you, may no peril as lost in the wild realms you roam. Still may you hear the call of the fireside. Still may your journey bring you home.
Oh my gosh. This game is amazing. Did you see that? I mean, did you hear that actually? That was amazing. I wasn't expecting them to actually do any voice stuff at all. That was amazing. And yes, you could hear the British in the voice. That was very lovely. I wonder if they have other songs. Is it okay if we listen to all of them? It might be long though, is that alright? Yes. Let me see. Is the audio loud enough for you to hear it clearly? I'll do the next one. It's of courage. It's of chivalry.
It's of a mouse named Leo and his chivalrous act so brave. A titan slayer bold and valiant, equal to any foe who challenges God's forged needle blade. The thimble guards at Saul Hill in a desperate fight were locked. The shrewd defense is overrun and the captain's strategies all undone by Iron Fang the Fox. Death stalks the town, Solid braced for the end as the fox closed for the kill, and Leo took the field. He is knocked back down, for a thimble knight sworn every life to defend. His health to brave Sir Leo, and his miracle blade so bright. Where evil, proud, and danger beckons, he sends that monster back to hell with a needle through the eye.
That's so awesome. There's one more. That's just one more. Just to warn everybody, I think after this next song, I'm going to head out for the evening though, okay? I need to take a break. So we might as well end it on a nice, on one more song, okay? And thank you for hanging out with me. Rose, if you're still here, thank you. Small, thank you. Tails Doll, hello, welcome. And thank you for the lurkers that are here in the raid. From Lex, Bean the Otter, and the Apaco Llama. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Rodents, country mice, prick up your ears and attend to this ditty of mine. And if it should please you to buy me a beer, then I'll sing you a song sweet as wine. and I'll spin you a tale for tomorrow I'm roving along. I've crossed the great waters, I've wooed sons and daughters of rat kings and volcans galore. But leave 'em I must, for I'm slave to my wanderlust, shipping my song shore to shore. I've roamed this world over, a rat-tailed rover, a scholar of poem and song. So buy me an ale, and I'll spin you a tale, for tomorrow I'm roving along. And I'll share for a florin the horned rats of Corinth's dance, learned from an aged rat salt, as they danced back canals by the Isthmus Canal to the strain of the Dorian mud. I've roamed this world over, a rat-tailed rover, a scholar of poem and song. So buy me an ale, and I'll spin you a tale, for tomorrow I'm roving along.
That was beautiful. That was awesome. Small says I like the blessing one most. Aww. They were really awesome. Oh wait, let me see my messages too. Oh, there's an ad break in process. What an awkward time to put an ad break in. Well, everybody, well, a lot of you are subscribed, thankfully, so you won't see the ads. Everybody, it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot of stuff. We might forget a lot of stuff, but we read a lot of stuff in the bookstore for free. It wasn't the library. And we had some fun exploring. So yeah, hopefully see you again sometime very soon. Have a great weekend if you have a nice weekend, or if you work, hopefully work goes by quickly and you get to go home and relax and get some yummy food and get cozy as it gets colder and wintry. Yeah. Goodbye, everybody. Stay safe, everyone. Love you all, platonically, of course. Many boons and blessings. Goodbye, everybody.